Welcome back, everybody, to another one of what I call pro se fundamentals. This will be using legal research tools. They're just devices that you can use. You probably go down to your local law library and find the same things that you can find in here. I know most local libraries should have. I shouldn't say I don't know. I know the local library here in Tampa has Westlaw and a couple of other, and I think they have Lexis and a couple other resources for you to do your research with. And hopefully my image is not too bad with the lighting. We're not here about me. We're here to try to help as many people as we can based upon what I've done through my experiences. So this is not legal advice. This is just some of the methods that I've used to get the results that I've managed to get. At least since roughly around 2014 is when I kind of went on a pretty good run, which I'm not telling anybody to go find issues, but because I happen to have issues find me, or I found them, however we linked up matrimonially, I use several resources to help get my results. One of the resources that I use, of course, is my buddy. I call him Leon the Lion because this dude is almost what I consider a pro se guru. His methods and his approach is a little bit different than mine, but he's nonetheless been effective. And there's other people who I won't mention because of some of them happen to be attorneys who've given me some insight that has been very beneficial to me. So I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just giving you some of the background into how I managed to get the results that I've gotten. And I'm telling that I'm letting you know that you can get the same kind of results if you put in the necessary work. And of course, to this point, I probably put in no less than 40,000 hours, maybe 50,000 hours of research over the last 9 or 10 years, which is really not that much when you really think about it, as far as how much time you can put in a day to really getting work done. And I've had many sleepless nights. So that being said, you have to be dedicated to get your results. So let's do this. Let's open up a page. Yes, I had already prepared this for this particular block of instruction or discussion. This is my Lexis page. Let's just say you want to, and as you can see what I tend to do, a lot about child custody and what have you, but let's just say you want traffic. It's a traffic case, because as those of you who've been following me so far know, I'm going over a traffic case. Traffic law, and let's just do this. It's going to give you all content, yeah, but let's go find some specific jurisdictions. I might have come out of here a little bit too soon, so let me go back here, new search, traffic law, and let's go to the state that you happen to be in, whatever it could be, other than probably a state of confusion. You want to go to your state and you want to move to find binding case law or case law that has fact patterns also that most resemble your action. And you start with your local court or your county court, depending on how your jurisdiction is set up, and then you want to go to the circuit, and then from there to your state Supreme Court, or your district courts of appeal, and then naturally your state Supreme Court, and then you can move into federal jurisdictions depending on what the issue is and how you're approaching it. But let's just say, for argument's sake, in Florida, I always go Florida, then I go to the 11th Circuit because that's the federal circuit that governs the laws in the southern area where Florida is. And of course, some people will look for the United States Supreme Court, which is going to be in here as well. But I tend to leave the Supreme Court out, but as you can see, I can do that right there. Yeah, again, it just depends on what your situation is. So this is just what I managed to do. So let's say traffic law, traffic stops without probable cause. See that? Traffic stop without probable cause. Hit that. And hit your search tool, and it's going to populate as you see, and then it gives you all of these things. So it just depends on what your issue is as to how and what portion of the traffic law you want to find, and this is all going to be naturally related to your pleading. So now this thing right here, Casetext, very affordable, very user friendly, and if you get Casetext, I think the cost is around $35-40 a month. You might want to also get what's called the parallel search, which I'm going to show you how to use that. This Casetext pretty much works the same as the Lexis, but there's a couple of added features with Casetext, and I'm not here as an advocate for any of the companies. I'm here to try to help as many people as possible get the same kind of results that I managed to get. So let's just take this right here. This I think it's called CAR tool. Yeah, CAR, artificial intelligence. Watch what it can do. I'm gonna open up one of my own folders. This is my State Farm folder. I'm currently involved in litigation against I'm involved in litigation where State Farm provides the representation for the lady who hit me. And as you can see, I've done quite a bit with this case, but let me show you what you can do with CAR. And you can take any document that you filed, and I'm trying to find something that I've done, and I guess you all are seeing everything I've done. Let's see, a motion for default and motion for probably summary judgment. I don't remember what this is. Oh, motion for default, motion opposition. I've already filed this, so I just want to show you what I could have done with CAR if I was up against a deadline. But look here, these are all the things that came up in here. So let's just go here right and have CAR do its work, and it's going to populate based upon what was already in my document, and it can find you all kinds of things to allow you to utilize it for the purpose of ensuring that you kind of stay as close to the law as possible. So in doing so, they bring up cases that have some similar situations to, well, in this case, my case, because I filed it myself. And I'm gonna tell you, this thing is great. It's been great and very affordable. So let's go into here. Let's go into parallel search, which I'm actually trying to use it in here. You can go directly to parallel search, but if not, because I had the account, I can go parallel search, casetext.com, and it's going to pull me in there. I'm already logged into the account, I'm sure. Let me do this. Let me sign into my account. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, we want to say plaintiff. No, let's see. Find it. Was denied a meaningful hearing and is entitled to reversal. Reversal of judgment. Let's just do that. Now, this little thing you see right here, this is my Grammarly, and it's kind of like having that teacher that you couldn't stand want to correct you, and I utilize that as well. So if I didn't mention, which I don't think I mentioned that I have that as well, and it kind of keeps you somewhat proficient with lyrically, proficient grammatically. So hit this button. Oh, find your state. Me, of course, again, back to Florida, and then I can go down to the federal jurisdiction. But I'll do that just for argument's sake. We'll go into the 11th Circuit, and then we'll go into U.S. Supreme Court. But really, I like to kind of stay within the state, especially if it's involving issues that are really state-run issues. So let's do that. Hit this button here, and look at that. See, it brought up the Supreme Court stuff, which under the holding of this court, petitioners are private rights essential to a fair hearing under the federal Constitution. And what you can do is come into these sites and see where the pattern is. Now, one thing about Casetext, let's say it pulled something that was no longer any good, it would give you like a little red, like here. See where it says excerpt is from a dissenting opinion? That's not the holding, people. You want to get something that helps you, that comes from the court's actual ruling, which means you can go to your lower court and says, hey, I don't know why you're arguing with me. Your bosses said, which is really, we're still their bosses, but for the argument of how the courts run, your superior court said this is what you must do under these circumstances, and this is how they have to go about. This is how you must do it. And if they don't do it, it's not the time to get up and act up object, so that you preserve your objection for the record. Take that and move forward. And I'm going to say this also. I also, beyond consultations with attorneys, I've also used a lot of the attorneys, I don't know if it's for their pro bono work or whatever. If you go to YouTube and you use it properly, you'll find attorneys touch on situations that most of us all face on a daily basis. Glean from it what you can. Maybe even call that attorney and ask them for a consultation. Sometimes they'll give you a free one. Sometimes there may be a small or nominal fee. But get the information so that it'll help direct you toward getting a positive outcome in whatever it is that you may be dealing with. Unless, of course, you can afford an attorney, then even if you have an attorney, don't forget it's still your case. But at least if you have a little bit of insight as to how the law's supposed to work, you can drive your attorney from the back seat, or actually from the side. That being said, I just wanted to make sure I showed you that. So once we find the case, so let me go back in here and come out of here and get the federal ones out the way. But meaningful hearing is fundamental, and most states is going to have it. So I go back to Florida. So here we go. Everything I needed to go for Florida. You see that? Petitioner did not receive the fair hearing to which he was entitled, reversed and remanded for a new hearing. And you want to go in and find, what the case is, and I do this all the time. I do quite a bit of reading. There's a couple of other sources that I use. Some of your iPhones will allow you to read certain documents or have them read to you. I use that a lot. I don't know about Audible against this, but I have some of the stuff I don't even know the names of. There are apps in my phone, so when I'm driving, I'll play briefs, filings, and what have you. It'll read it back to me. Sometimes it's a little choppy. Some of the programs are pretty good, and you can kind of stay on point with what's going on. But in here, you get case summaries, which is background, what the courts did, how the courts came to their conclusion, and the courts are going to cite cases that led them to their conclusion, and even statutes and what have you, and how the statute may apply. But that being said, again, great resource, Casetext, parallel search. I think the card comes with the Casetext. Here, Pacer. Now this one costs most of the time per look, but if you go to the federal courthouse in your jurisdiction, you can research in the federal courthouse at no cost. Problem is, federal courthouses don't allow you to take your electronics in with you. So, unless I think you're an attorney can take in his phone, but if you're not an attorney, you can't take in your phone, at least locally here. But the same thing they have there. So let's go to Pacer. So I'm going to log into my Pacer account, which is public access to court electronic records. See that? And we'll log it in, and let's log into my Pacer. And sometimes when I don't use it as much, we're in here, so let's go in here. So if you want to find any case that anybody's ever filed, so somebody said that they've done this or they've done that, and this is how they know this, let me say a couple of things as it was explained to me, and as I've learned along the way. You can file almost anything. Okay, I do mean almost anything can be filed. Lawsuits, what have you. But what the court does with it is a different thing. So you can file, I can sue whoever the makers of this alcohol bottle is. Doesn't mean I'm going to win. There's a process. And I'll tell everybody, especially as pro se's who don't do a lot of work in the federal courts, you might want to become familiar with Twombly and Iqbal, or what's known as Twickball, when it comes to a pleading standard in the federal court. They're very rigid in the federal court, very professional. They stick along the guidelines, but you better know what you're talking about when you go to the federal courts. Now, that being said, here you go. This is my account. Anybody can get a Pacer account, but when you start to do work in the Pacer, you want to get sheets, you'll have to pay for whatever you look at. So I'm going to bear the cost of some of this. And if anybody likes the information you're getting here, then hey, feel free to donate to the cause. But if you want to find out what the cause of action is, and hopefully this is large enough for everybody to see, let's just go Control and ++. There you go. So now, Control ++ people allows your screen to get larger. And by the way, I'm going to show you something in the document in a moment. just for argument's sake when we open it up. So let's say you want to go, most of us have issues, we think, within Title 42 or within the federal code for certain kinds of action. But let's just say we want to find any case, say involving, let's say even federal auto negligence cases. So do that. It's going to ask you to run a query. Now, because it's going to be so much, it's going to give you this kind of thing here, but I'm going to go ahead and search it anyway. I'm not going to open everything up. This is every auto negligence case that may have gotten to a federal jurisdiction. Now, to file an action in the federal court, there's certain standards, and I know one is diversity. It can be a federal question, diversity of the parties. It has to be in excess of $75,000. There's a couple of other things, but just look in your local rules. Actually, just Google, I'll do it for you. What is the standard for filing a federal case? In federal court, by the way. Because federal courts are courts of limited jurisdiction. There you go. What is required for federal jurisdiction over a case? There you go. For the most part, federal courts only hear cases in which the United States is a party, cases involving violation of the U.S. Constitution or federal law under federal question jurisdiction, in cases between citizens of different states if the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. That's the diversity issue, and here you go. Federal courts versus state courts. Let's pop it open for you. And by the way, I'm not going to go into too much with this right here because it's going to put me behind in catching up on finishing that Conrad case. But here you go, people. The same way you saw me do it here, you can do it in the comforts and luxury of your own home. But there you go. Now, so let's go back here and find a case. This is pretty new. Let's open this up and see what we got going on here. Once you get inside here, I know nothing about this case. I just grabbed this. Not familiar with this judge, either of these two judges, or this judge. And so let's do this. Let's go down here and find the history of the documents. And you can run all history. So here you go. What you want to do in here is you want to see, you can see the original complaint, but let's see if in this case there was an amended complaint. Okay, see, amended didn't come up. That's Control F. I do Control F because Control F will bring you to a specific word. So this case seems to be going on pretty old. So they voluntarily dismissed it. Notice of other case management report answered the complaint. So let's look at the complaint in this case. We can do this. No, it's a pretty small complaint. And I'm going to tell you, you can tell the difference between a complaint from an attorney and most pro ses. And what I do quite often is I look for complaints filed by attorneys. Because in law, there's no such thing as plagiarism, it's precedent. So let's see here. You can see there's an attorney, okay, and attorneys involved. And you see how simple this is? Plaintiffs Roscoe Bell and Nicole Bell sue Wesley, whoever his last name is, in excess of $75,000. See how simple this is? Traveling a motor vehicle on Georgia Interstate. Okay. Defendant's vehicles in front. Okay. Okay, so I can see why there's a federal issue here. The action took place apparently in Georgia, and without warning, they rear-ended the other person. Breached his duty of care. Yep. Proximate cause of the negligence. This is actually the way you would do a case also from just looking at it in state court. And there you go. They're looking for a judgment. So this is an interesting issue because the person got hit traveling in one state, which is where it took place. He probably lived in one state. The person that hit him probably lived in another state. And thus the court, or they could have, I don't know where they were. Let's see where this guy lived. Plaintiff's residents of Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. And the defendant was, see, Jacksonville. See, plaintiffs were residents of Duval County, Florida. And defendant was a resident of Vermont. That's your diversity. They're seeking damages in excess of $75,000, exclusive of costs and fees. And let's not forget that attorneys can get, when you file a federal case and if you win, the attorneys are entitled to costs and fees when it comes to federal cases. So keep that in mind whenever you get ready to file an action. If you can find an attorney to take up your case, they know they're going to get paid if they can get a favorable judgment. I don't know what all the terms are, but they tend to get paid. So there you go. There's a complaint for a civil action with diversity. So let's come out of that. We looked at that. You see how to use Control F. So here we go. This is mine. Let's say I wanted to file something. This is the e-filing portal, which I became familiar with sometime after I began my first foray into self-representation. This is the Hillsborough County or Florida e-portal system, which I could file in any county in Florida. So again, by the way, anybody who wishes to use this for whatever reasons for reference, you're more than free to, even if you I guess you should just ask for some permission. I don't know how that works. I really ain't gonna worry about that. But anyway, let's say I'm in Hillsborough County, and let's say I want to file something now. Let's just go to a case that I am absolutely involved in, which is I'm in a circuit civil, and it was filed in 2018, and it's 3553, and this is my auto negligence case. It's populating, as you see. So bam, it comes up with me versus who I'm suing. The case is in the party, which would be me. If there's any document I wanted to file, I could just add the document. I'm not doing anything now, so I'm kind of up with everything I need to file. Where's this thing? There we go. Get rid of you. Get you back up here. And then you go to the service list, everybody that I would serve, and that is generally involved in the case. And then, of course, you would move through the fees, which there's generally no fees for most things here. Review, and then you submit it, and then once you submit it, it goes to the clerk, and you've served everybody. This is convenient. Some of us I used to like to go downtown and file everything and get the stamp and then walk over there and serve somebody else. This is very convenient. All attorneys in Florida are required to have an email on file for you to serve the attorney. So once they get an attorney, the attorney makes an appearance, you can serve the attorney. Again, you can always check anything I say for the factual basis, and of course, because it's not legal advice, this is just for edification based upon my experiences. And there you go. So that's how you would file. And I'm sure that your jurisdiction in Florida, you're going to be able to do this anyway, because I can go into any case. Let's see this e-filing map. See, I can go in anywhere. If I wanted to file something in the appellate court, second district would be mine. As you see, the map outlines what you have to, where the places are, and you could file electronically through the e-filing system. Sometimes there's fees involved. You can always request a waiver of fees, and we know that became interesting for me, but I prevailed nonetheless. Hover, and bear with me, I'm going to grab me a little bit of water. This is the Hillsborough County Clerk's judicial website. This is how you find cases. So let's go into Hover, and I have an account with them as well, and so let's log in. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you want to find out information on the case we just looked at, or just you want to find out about anything from anybody that's ever filed in Hillsborough County. You'll find a whole bunch of stuff. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff with me, a whole bunch that I won, a whole bunch that I lost before I started fighting. But once I started understanding how the law, let me tell you something, you can overcome a whole lot of ills just understanding how the process and the procedure works. A lot of times people file things that we at one time would just say, well, no contest, just to try to get out of court, not realizing how many great rights that we have waived. I was definitely guilty of that in my ignorance, but now I'll probably fight over a donut if I think it's worthwhile. It definitely is a chocolate donut. That being said, this is going to give it a second to populate, and you should go right to it. Now you want to do this with it. Anyway, while we're waiting for it to do that, it's going to pull up that case. At least it should. And if not, I'll go back in and we'll grab that case from somewhere else. But what it's going to do is you can go right to that case, find everything that's been filed in that case, whether or not that issue was heard. Like in mine, you'll see in this case, let's go back out of here. Let's do this. Here's that case. See that? Now what you see on the left is, this is how you can find out what's going on with the case. He's an auto negligence case, active, So I don't know why I owe them $103. I've done everything, so we'll figure out what that is and worry about that later on. So that being said, here's where the case is. And the reason I can, like, most of you will come across this if you don't have an account already, where you can't really see the file, but I can request any document and it's going to give it to me, and some of the ones are already inside the case filing. So let's just go to, as you can see, this is a whole lot. You're going to say, man, it's a lot of entries for an auto negligence case, especially when I'm going to show you something that's already been done. So anyway, here you go. Here's the entire case. And somewhere in your county, you can see and find everything as well. So you can see I filed everything from motions to disqualified or what have you. Don't get them. I don't worry about that, because preserve my rights for appeal and keep it going. And by the way, when they fail to disqualify themselves in Florida, you can always file writs of prohibition and have the courts review that. I'm not really so worried about that now. It's amazing how nice this judge was after those couple of motions for continuance. So we've had case management conference, but I wanted to show everybody what we definitely got already in this case, which again would go with people wondering, well, why in the world are we still fighting this? But I don't know. There's something about State Farm and Allstate that has really surprised me. Bear with me. I don't know what date this thing happened. Let's see. No, don't even compel. Nope. Okay, here you go. See this right here? On December the 1st. Now, some of the stuff in here is what I did, and the judge denied it. I don't care about that, because I preserve my right to appeal, and once everything is done, there's a final issue in this case, unless of course they settle within what I've asked for, then I'll just voluntarily dismiss it. But this is what I got. That's a notice of negligent admission. So for those wondering, like I am, why we can't just get this thing resolved, only time will tell. And some of the things that I've learned about auto negligence cases, because of this case, which is definitely something I had no desire to even be involved with, but I had the benefit of knowing people who work in the insurance business, and after they told me to go get lost, when I said, well, listen, the lady hit me, you paid for the vehicle, let's just go ahead and resolve it. They essentially shot me the middle finger. I said, wow, do we have to do this? Because I know that your insurance company didn't hit me. The lady driving the vehicle hit me. And from that, we've learned quite a bit. So I'm not suggesting that you attack monsters or large entities when it comes to fighting an auto accident, but we're so far into this now, I'm not turning back, and I'm actually doing pretty well with this. So if anybody wants to just follow the case, you can. This is an active case as of now. Some of the weirdest things have happened in this case, to include them using my VA doctor for the CME and not telling me. So if there's anybody out here watching who may be an attorney that may want to find out why State Farm would allow their attorneys to use a Veterans Administration doctor to perform a compulsory medical examination and not inform the other person, definitely hit me up. And by the way, I have an admission through transcript that they've done this before and it never came up, which again didn't mean a whole lot to me. It just shows me that some people, particularly some of these attorneys, are slimy, and they will resort to some pretty unscrupulous tactics to kind of get rid of you. But I'm not going anywhere, because I do what I do, not just for the sake of $1, but for the experience and to learn. and I'm not dragging it out, but you're going to give me what I'm entitled to, and you're definitely going to pay my bills. And by the way, people, Florida has what's called, let me show y'all something in case, and maybe your state does too. Look at this, people. For those who actually have an insurance company that you don't think is operating your best, insurance companies in Florida, let me say this, insurance companies in Florida are supposed to operate in the best interest of the insured. Furthermore, if they don't do that, you have the ability to, Florida's bad faith law allows an insured person or someone who has been injured by an insured person to recover damages from an insurer for failing to settle a claim in good faith when the insurer could and should have done so. Probably most of us have no idea about that. I didn't know it to this extent until they told me to go get screwed. I said, well, that's pretty mean of you. And along the way, this is what we got. So that being said, just some slight resource tools that you can utilize, how to go about searching your official records and what have you. And everything that's in the public record should be there unless there's something that's sealed to file. A lot of times in family law cases involving minors or issues involving minors, they're going to seal those documents to protect the minor's name. So just a little heads up on that, but we really don't need to be looking for anything involving children. And it's not, I don't believe in doing things just for the sake of being mean-spirited. I don't do that. But hey, to whatever, to each their own and what they need to do. Back to the insurance bad faith thing of Florida insurance. In Florida, the insurance company has a fiduciary responsibility to the insured, and that means that they have to settle or resolve the issue as if it were them. So, and not for the sake of saving a couple bucks. And by the way, there's that statute at 624-155. And just so you'll know that I didn't make it up, because I'm not that creative. I don't sing, I don't play instruments, I can dance, and I can definitely catch a football. That being said, here you go, people. And also keep in mind, if you ever come across these things, it's just best from what I've learned to always send a notice of intent to initiate, a notice of your intent to initiate an action before you do. If you don't, there are some issues that your failure to give notice to the party you're suing, particularly a state entity or agency, would cause you to lose that claim. So just look it up depending on what the kind of claim it is. I always want to give a notice, or what we call a demand letter. And your demand letter, let's see this right here. Let's see. You can actually find a template, but let's see which ones I've already done. I'm almost positive I've done a demand of some sort. Oh, here's a notice right here. Does anybody else have a problem with this Microsoft Edge thing? I don't know. I guess maybe I'm kind of loyal to Google. I like them, but here you go. I guess it's going to pull it up eventually. It'll populate. But here's what, this is my notice to Dr. Shim. Well, hell, it's not in the public record, but here's what the notice looks like. I notice everybody about what happened. It doesn't, just because you give the demand letter doesn't mean that you're going to get what you're asking for, but this is so that you cover yourself so that they can't come back and say, well, Your Honor, I want this dismissed, this case dismissed because they failed to give us, he failed to provide, as required by law, a demand letter. And by the way, you have to send these things out certified mail. And by the way, I don't know if it's on, well, it should pop up in here. I have certified mailing labels because it just helps me keep better track of whatever I have going on. See, there you go. You can log in. Some of these things you're going to find are very great tools to kind of keep you organized. So let's see, address labels, no reports. And anytime you have to prove something, you want to be able to prove it. So just like this right here, anything that you file, and I don't know why this one didn't come back because I got a letter back from them, but anything that I sent certified comes up right here this way. And by the way, if you need help doing any of this stuff, again, I can't give you legal advice. I can just try to direct you based upon what I've done and you can always run it by an attorney or somebody else who knows, or Google. Go to YouTube, and when you go into your YouTube, you want to look for attorneys who have experience in the areas that you're looking for. Let's see some of the people who I follow. I don't know, some of these people are not attorneys, but like Steve Vondran is one of them. I think I'm in my right one. Matthew Whedon, there's one, because he actually will give you some cases where you'll see him dealing with. He shows images from a lot of these appellate court hearings. And by the way, you can go a lot of times and find like Supreme Court case review online where they're actually talking about the case and how they sell it. I know this seems boring, but this is the process that I went through so that I could become a little bit more proficient. And I do this daily. I spend numbers of hours doing this, researching, because I don't have the benefit of having the expertise in legal training. I don't have $300,000 to go put on law school or whatever it may cost. But what I do want to do is continue to fight, and I'll always fight. You know, they can take everything in the world from me but my fight, and when that's all I had left, that's what I gave them. So that being said, this is a pro se's fundamentals, how to do research, collect information, what have you. And again, some of these things you may see more than once, but it's just because, I don't know, something the computer did, or I might have done it somewhere else, and my filings are, let's try this right here. Oh no, this is not most per default. This is my, oh, maybe it is what it actually looks like. I have no problem showing it to you, because if you want to find it, just go into the public records and it's there. So this is what it looks like. It's all public domain information. We came to a unique, well, they came to a unique conclusion or decision about this, and yeah, we're going to see how that turns out. But nonetheless, that's what I've done, what I'm continuing to do. If you like what you found or what we covered here, like I said, feel free to support the channel. If not, don't. It's fine. One way or the other, we're going to do this, because as I continue to move forward and address other issues, I'm going to move away, but I wanted to make sure that I left something here to show people that you can fight. You just want to make sure that you're fighting in the most appropriate way. And that being said, sometimes it's not about right or wrong. More importantly, it's about clarity. And you'll never reach a resolution if you're not willing to engage in honest dialogue, even if that dialogue is with yourself. Take time to hug the person you love and love the person you hug. And on behalf of GDNAPSC, otherwise Greg Doss, non-attorney pro se consultants, I'm Greg Doss. For those who've known me for a while, I'm also DJ Squid. I'm signing off with peace and chicken grease. Y'all take care.